Hello, everybody. Welcome to my Unit 3 English project video here. My project was specifically tailored around athlete finance and kind of the baseline reasons for why athletes go broke at a high rate. Even though we don't believe it, we don't expect it, the stats say it happens a lot. So, in order to kind of expand on that, I wanted to dive into kind of a specific example. A few years ago, I was scrolling through YouTube myself, and I came across the channel Spencer Cornelia, I believe, and he broke down how Anthony Edwards, who was the number one, or not the number one pick, but a high draft pick a few years ago, should spend his money in order to minimize risk and maximize financial well-being. So I kind of adopted the same principle with some kind of touches of my own, some preferences for me. I don't claim to be an expert, but this is the baseline system that I would employ if I was Drake Maye. So I will disappear here and I will dive in. So as I noted, Drake Maye, new draft pick to the New England Patriots, and decided kind of spend his money. So before we start, this is kind of stuff from my research paper itself. So I want to talk about some just common issues that athletes tend to see. So as I said, a lot of them go broke. A lot is kind of an understatement. Roughly 2/3 of all former professional athletes declare bankruptcy or facing financial hardships within 5 years of retirement. So it's a very widespread issue across all sports. I will specifically be looking at the four major American sports, being ice hockey in the NHL, the NBA for basketball, football in the NFL, and baseball in the MLB. So among the reasons, family members, I'll explain later, but family members and constant kind of pressure to provide for them and the changing definition of provide, a lack of role models or the role models they do have being poor influences, a lack of education, lifestyle, like just genuine poor lifestyle choices, and taxes. I'm sure most of us understand that, but it's especially difficult when it comes to professional athletes for reasons I will explain later. So my goal in doing this is to help May avoid many of the issues that we see athletes fall into in this process, create a form of generational wealth with just the money he's going to make from this contract. This is assuming he never makes another contract again, how he can create generational wealth or at least support himself for the rest of his life off this contract alone. There will be some guesswork involved, but this will be a largely accurate representation of his contract and how I would spend it. So first, his contract. This is all, it's been leaked, so this is not completely finalized, and some of the numbers, like as you'll see later, are not exact, but his contract is projected to be a 4-year contract worth $36.6 million, including a $23.4 million signing bonus, which, if you guys don't know, a signing bonus is effectively paid out immediately after signing. That money would hit his bank account, the next day. So in this contract, all the money will be fully guaranteed, meaning whether he plays or not, he will receive this entire $36.6 million. And again, there's no true way to assess endorsement earnings. Some, like Patrick Mahomes, you'll see as high as even 25 million. Some players, smaller markets, not as well known, won't earn any. But based on the positional value of a quarterback, as well as the Boston market, and just comparisons to other rookies, I will give a very low estimate of an additional $2 million over the course of his 4 years. This first step will be understanding taxes. Taxes for athletes vary on states. I'll explain this when I get to the state income tax section. So we'll take just the standard earnings here of 38.6, which is the contract plus endorsements over the 4 years. Take a federal income tax at 37%, which is the highest tax bracket federally. So he would be in that bracket at roughly 14.3. State income tax. The complication with state income tax and athletes is they pay their state income tax based on where the games are played, and this changes throughout the year. I'm going to leave it at the Massachusetts, which is where he's drafted to, standard of 5%. because there are some weeks he'll be playing in New York or California with higher, and there will be some weeks where he'll be playing in Florida or Texas, Tennessee, where there won't be any. So I will keep the genuine average of about 5, which is where at least his home games will be played in. Additionally, the millionaire's tax, which is essentially a tax put on all earnings above $1 million in a given fiscal year. So this is new to Massachusetts. New York has it. California has it. There's a few states that have it, but specifically it's 4% over all earnings above $1 million. Again, there's no exact real genius in calculation, but this was my rough calculation for what it would be. His agent fees can vary between 1.5 to 3%. I'm going to put it at 3%, and we're going to, again, use that to round up to an even 50%, leaving his total after-tax income to 19.3 million. Year-by-year earnings, again, no exact estimates, but he will earn all of this money given that it's guaranteed. So we're going to take the signing bonus after tax plus his salary after tax to get 13.9 essentially million in year one. It's obviously a very big year because of the signing bonus. You'll see after it kind of trails out. Typically, it would be on kind of an upward slope when it comes to this. So after the signing bonus, year 2 would be lower. Year 3 would get a little higher. Year 4 would get a little higher. They'll backload it, I think it's called. But in this case, all the money is guaranteed. We don't have the specifics, so I will just spread it evenly out across. Endorsement is included in all of these figures, of course. So our overall investment strategy. So after kind of combing through sources, this is the strategy I kind of decided upon, being hopefully a little bit more realistic. So taking his total of 19.3 million, I would allocate 10% of that to personal expenses. This would be 2 homes. One would be in Boston itself. If I had to guess, I would rent at this stage in his career. I will just say that. Kind of up in the air. You never know what's going to happen. There's not a lot of stability in the NFL, especially in a rookie. So I would rent all essential living properties. So I would rent 1 in Boston, and I would rent 1 in Foxborough. So the 1 in Boston would be allocated more for like his general residence. This would be a little bit more expensive, 2-bedroom in case he has family or friends over. The 1 in Foxborough would be more for after games, long days in practice, the off season type deal. This would be a simple 1-bedroom, would be on the cheaper side. Still nice, but on the cheaper side. And the same applies here for cars, that type of deal. There's 3% for flashy, kind of whatever he wants, 2% on crypto, 10% on bonds, 25% in real estate, and 50% in index funds. And all of this money is based on the total he will earn after the 4 years. So part 1, I started explaining this already, but I will go back into it a little bit further. So as I said, 10%. 10% or 1.9 million essentially will be allocated towards personal expenses. Give him $8,000 per month for a high-end apartment in Boston, primary residence through the first 4 years, and then $3,500 a month for Foxborough apartment. I believe if you can see this, I have just some rough estimates here. Obviously, 2-bed would make it a little bit more expensive than a studio, but usually I would say 8,000 would be in a good range for a nice apartment for the inner city. And this would be a Foxborough residence, a little bit closer to the stadium, but not in the middle of the city. It will be a little bit cheaper. Back to the slide. I allocated $100,000 for a personal vehicle of his choice. This includes taxes and insurance. $100,000 is more than enough. I would stick to used, especially on his rookie contract. If he gets that second contract, things get a little bit different, but I would stick to a nice quality used vehicle for up to $100,000 all included. It's more than enough. $200,000 for a personal chef. This is all over the course of 4 years as well. As I noted, nutrition is going to be very important. Young guy coming out of college, a lot of potential. And his goal should be to get the second contract. And he needs to do everything in this first contract to ensure that he's going to be his very best. So personal chef be very important. Again, $150,000 on food for the total of 4 years. Athletes spend a lot on food on the road. There's the rookie dinner. It's kind of a tradition that could be as high as 20 to 30,000 in one night, but I'll give them 150,000 for food over the course of the 4 years. And the same goes for the hyperbaric chamber, oxygen therapy, gym, $200,000 for what the category I call treatment. The same can be said, $400,000 for a personal assistant or a friend at basically $100,000 a year. A lot of athletes will take their friend from high school, or they'll hire a personal assistant. This is just for dealing with day-to-day stuff, communication, some of the off-the-field activities that athletes tend to get involved in. 50,000 for clothing. Limit the designer clothing. Nice tailored suits are always a good investment and will be very useful. That's pretty much where I would draw the line. You see some athletes like Tyler Harrow spending upwards of $80,000 in his first year alone on designer clothing. That's ridiculous to me. So I would be on the safe side. 50,000, some nice suits. That's all you need. 36,000 in random expenses. This was just a number drawn after the next one to charity or family related expenses. As I note, family can be a real challenge, but I would limit the extravagant spending on family until the second contract is earned. I say this because a lot of guys go and they immediately buy their parents a brand new $150,000 car or a brand new house. And while it's great, and I totally respect that, I think and if they need to, there's another story. But if they're already in a fair position, wait until you're secured, and then once you make that second contract or your investments start to pay off, then you can spoil them. That's kind of the policy I would adapt. Part two, flashy. This is 3% or roughly 580,000. This will be dedicated to basically whatever he wants. He's worked hard. He's made it to the league. Obviously he has the right to spend his money, but this is the amount I would say do whatever you want. This can be vacations, designer clothing, another car or two, rental home in Miami or LA for the off season. Again, I put a little note used would be ideal for the cars, but I guess I can't fault him for a new car on this percent. Part three, crypto. So I don't claim to be a crypto expert in any way, but I would allocate 2% or basically 390,000 towards crypto. This will just basically, you put this in and you don't have any reliance upon it. But if crypto goes up in value and there's some major jump, you will have money in there and you will have been able to capitalize. So we'll just distribute basically half each to the two major, at least in my knowledge, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Again, just have money there in case something shoots up. Part four is bonds. Again, I don't pretend to be an expert, but this is kind of the safest way to diversify your income from my research. So I would take the 10%, same as the personal category, and invest in some different sorts of bonds. You have long-term from Vanguard there, the iShares, intermediate term, and another Vanguard, this one being a global bond, having your money globalized or in the global market. Bonds typically return at a 4 to 5% rate each year. They will provide a stable defense over inflation or just a rise in general. So allocating at least a decent portion of money to this will be very helpful for him. Next category, this is kind of more of my area, is real estate. So I kind of bumped up the budget for this to 25% or 4.8 million. This is all during the 4 years, of course. This will be allocated towards real estate investing, giving him a long-term asset that will likely increase in value. This could be a series of whatever he likes. He could invest in areas in his hometown, North Carolina, commercial properties, you can go residential properties in the Boston area, wherever he wants to put it. I would just look for areas, talk to some experts that are projected to be on the rise. Like Austin, Texas had this a few years ago. Vegas seems to be a pretty popular one. But look for areas that are projected to continue to see higher demand for rent. Since he should be focused on basically being the best football player he can be, I would, again, hire and pay an advisor to do this, which would take some money out of the budget. Index funds. This is the last and the largest 50%. Again, because I want him to be focused on getting the second contract, being the best football player possible. This here will allow him to diversify, again, stabilize, and make a pretty decent income passively without having to pay any attention to this. So I'd probably talk to an advisor. Same with real estate. Put some money into any. I put down four of these examples, but put down any major index funds, and this should garner. They like to say 10%. I'd go more conservative, 8%, but it could be higher in a good year. This will help boost his value, and the longer he keeps them, compound interest will do wonders with this much money. What could his returns look like? So this is kind of just a quick example, mostly of compound interest in real estate, but diversifying is going to be huge for him. He has a lot of money. He doesn't want to put it all in one basket. I'm sure anybody can understand that. But if he rents out an apartment for $2,000 a month, he will be able to pay off his mortgage as he goes. And once paid off, he will be able to earn an additional $24,000 a year without even touching any of the equity or the principal he has in his property. Real estate can be a great tool. You build it over time and you be smart with it. There's a lot of potential in real estate, and the same can be said for index funds. Seeing a 10% improvement is entirely possible year over year, and with compound interest, the amount of money you can make on top of the principal can pay for all of the luxury that athletes want to buy. Just for waiting and investing in the beginning and waiting a few years, his compound interest that he makes can pay for all of this stuff. Just hold off at the beginning is my best advice. What else should he do? So again, this is kind of education based for him. He needs to make smart decisions early. Doing so will prevent stress and will increase his potential for future investments. That's obvious. But again, if he just waits a year, the money he makes off his index funds without even touching the principal amount can pay for his designer bag for his mom or any of these luxury or material spending items. Just wait, guys, rush into it. And I understand the pressure and kind of the culture to rush into it. My best advice is to wait. Avoid nightlife. I don't know how old he is as of recording. I think he was going into junior or senior year in college, so he might be 21 now, but I would avoid nightlife as much as possible. I don't want to say avoid getting married, but statistically, that is the smartest way to keep your wealth. So be careful with nightlife and the women that you let into your life. Same with men, really. So just be careful. Education is everything. Don't have a financial advisor that doesn't encourage you to learn on your own. You need to learn these skills, especially when you're so young and the contracts are so high. Learning these skills is going to be a necessity for you. So learn how to save, learn how to invest. And the last point is build credit. It's common for anybody who understands a lot about finance, especially in the United States, but credit is huge. With all the properties he has, he should have no problem building credit if he buys any cars or anything like that, or jewelry, which I didn't even touch on, but I suggest avoiding that if you happen to be watching. Build credit. I have a little JP Morgan stamp. Get to know the people at popular establishments and banks. They'll help you with loans in the future. You'll be able to get, not that he would have any problem getting approved with this income, but basically be smart with your money. You only need to get rich once. Don't be sitting here trying to make a whole second contract worth on an investment if it's not safe. Play it over time. You're rich. You don't need to worry if you're smart. This is kind of just like, this is true. Like, there's no protection of wealth that I can guarantee. The point of this is to put Drake Maye or anybody watching this in the saving mentality. People need to learn more about compound interest. I mean, I will never be done learning about it, but you only need to get rich once. It's all part of being smart with your money. You don't need every new car that comes out. You don't need every new phone that comes out. Be sensible, be reasonable. If you're smart and you're rich, like May is, hopefully will stay this way. you will have a life filled with all of that stuff. Just let let things take their natural course. Some sources for my help again: Spencer Cornelia here. Great, um, great inspiration here for this video, and I've gotten through it now. So I might make more of these in the future, or make some similar videos. And GQ Sports does a lot of these that I've watched. So I would like to thank everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I certainly enjoyed making this. And I wish Drake Maye the best of luck. And yeah, thank you guys for watching.